Babalwa, thank you so much for joining us in the Sports Editor. It's really good to chat to you about your career and where you've been going in rugby and how exciting I think your journey has been so far. So thanks so much for your time.
You're most welcome, Ryan, and thanks a lot for having this chat with me.
No, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And women in sport, that's something that you've been putting some energy into, and I'd say it's starting to reap rewards. Do you think it's been a good year for women in sport so far?
Yes, actually, I think it's been an incredible year for women in sport. We've seen, women take charge in their respective sporting codes, and it's great to witness. We have the likes of Sarai Kumalo, who's the first African to summit, Mount Everest. The netball, the sport Proteas have done wonders. At the World Cup, the Springbok women have qualified for their World Cup as well. Banyana also are doing incredible stuff by, having a lot more of their players, plying their trade abroad. So the list is endless. I can go on, and it's incredible to see, and it just, inspires me immensely to see, the amount of talent that we have as women in South Africa.
That's excellent. And talk specifically about rugby now. Women's rugby is also making some progress. It's nice that it's getting more and more recognition. It's slowly growing. Although there's probably still some more work to do, I'd say. But are you sort of getting a feeling that there's small victories along the way, and that's helping grow the game for women in rugby? Those small victories.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the old adage of that. If you want to eat an elephant, you have to chop it down small, or bit by bit, or chunk by chunk. I think that's a Khoisan saying or something like that. But it just came to my mind. I think that we've come a long way as women's rugby. I remember. Well, I wasn't playing at the time. I never even dreamt of playing at the time. But I learned that women's rugby was first, established in South Africa only 16 years ago, which is about around 2003, 2002. So we're quite relatively young, and I think that we've made some significant strides in terms of growing the sport, where we've competed in a World Cup. Our latest World Cup was in 2014, but we took a break from international rugby altogether with the aim of redeveloping women's rugby in South Africa. And we've come up with youth training centers across the country, which resulted in what we call youth weeks or Craven weeks. Girls from under 16 and under 18, got incredible chance annually actually to compete against one another to various provinces, which was great, and it speaks to the growth of our sport. And I think that if we can carry on, constantly developing young girls into the senior setup or into the senior fold of women's rugby, we can have a constant growth where ultimately, we can compete amongst the best of the best in the world. So it's the little victories, like you rightly put, having the first, African women to play professional rugby abroad come from South Africa speaks to the fact that we're not short of talent, really. Sometimes all it takes is just, a proper investment, a huge investment actually to yield a large result. So, in my view, we're headed in the right direction.
No, that's excellent. That's good to hear. Yeah, it'll be nice if someone can back you guys in a bigger way, so to say, because it does go a long way. Talking about some time overseas, you went to Spain, fantastic place, and you must have had a good time there. But were there sort of ideas you could have maybe perhaps learned from there that you could bring back to South Africa and help grow the rugby program?
Yeah, I had a great time in Spain. In all honesty, on and off the pitch. I think that Spain is a rugby crazy. I mean, it's a football crazy nation, and to see the growth spurt that they've had, in terms of growing rugby, women's rugby in particular, and almost making it a household name, if you like. It was great to witness that. The fact that they actually sign players, they have a professional league, speaks volume to their rugby culture. In comparison to ours, I think that we could follow suit, and just be in a position where we can have similar or do similar. And I was extremely happy to be part of that type of a culture that embraces women's rugby and sees it for the greatness that it is. And the astounding thing about the club that I played for, IBA, was that the club took it upon themselves to actually pay male coaches the exact same amount of money as female coaches, which was exceptional in my view, because domestically it's something that's almost unheard of. So it's great to see those things and to experience those things, especially as a person who goes out into the world and flies a trade abroad for the first time. You can actually get to see and learn those types of things. And I'd love to have that imparted here in South Africa, where we actually see male and female sports as equals. Yes. And sort of band together and drive forward into a far brighter future. So those are the off-field stuff. On the field, rugby is the same anyway. Spanish rugby is just a lot faster because the players are a lot smaller. That's just the way it is. Here in South Africa, we are a lot more physically larger and very brutal, and we just love the physique part of it. So it's just really, really amazing.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's true. I can see that the passion is there to grow women's sport, or particularly rugby in your case, and that's good, because passion always leads to something good. So keep at it. It's good to see. You scored lots of tries in Spain, and it could be the fact that you just maybe are determined to do well, which is awesome. But the gameplay, or sort of the reason why you scored so many tries, do they play a lot off the scrum, or was it just more of an open game? What do you think contributed to your try success there?
I think the team figured out how best to play around me, actually. Because I'm an extremely physical type of a player. So my team was able to get the ball to me into the right spaces and at the right time, so that I could actually do what I do best. And I cannot take all of the credit for those tries. I honestly can't, because it was a collective effort. It was a team effort. Of course, there was individual brilliance now and again, but I think that I must give all the credit to my team, because they actually understood my style of play and used me to the best of my abilities, and also for the benefit of the team. I think scrum-wise, I struggled a little bit in this way. My whole front row was far shorter than I was. I was easily the tallest in the tallest front row. So as you can imagine, as I stated before, that Spanish rugby players are quite puny in stature but dynamite. So it was a great learning experience for me. I had to try to sort of shrink myself as far as possible, but it was a great learning curve for me as well. Because as a good scrummager or good front rower is able to adapt to any opposition, also to any teammate. So great learning curve, I must say.
That's good. Well, you definitely have learned a lot in your career, and it's sort of just things have almost sort of bang for you, because rugby, you've just sort of grown and you've grown quickly. And also taking South Africa to qualify for the 2021 World Cup, sorry, as captain, must have been a jolly good experience, and added sort of like we can call maybe like a good pressure on you.
Mm-hmm. Look, I think that a World Cup is most probably in fact, it is. It's the greatest competition of all rugby
Yeah, for
competitions,
sure.
in my view. And to know that, whatever it is that I do or don't do will contribute to the heaviness of that pressure. But currently, it's good pressure. I think that going forward, we have a clear vision and a clear understanding of what a World Cup means first,
Mm.
and what it means to compete and qualify in a World Cup. And I would love to be given the opportunity to lead the charges out to such a competition. But currently we are faced with something that's quite unfamiliar to all of us, really. And
Mm.
that hasn't sort of sidetracked us in any way, really. I think that we are extremely focused, and we understand the responsibility that comes with going and qualifying for a World Cup. So
No, that's excellent.
pressure, yes, not negative pressure. It's positive.
No, that's good. That's good, and I believe a good pressure just expands your game and helps you improve your skills as well. Yeah, and it helps your focus in a certain regard as well. So I think it's really, really good. Rugby is, I think you've only been playing for maybe 5-6 years, roughly.
6 years.
Sure. So you've done extremely well then. When did you sort of feel like, okay, this game is actually for me? I've found my groove. This is bringing the best out of me.
Instantly. The first day I touched a rugby ball was the day that I knew. Perhaps, look, I think, that's the best expression that I can give you, is that it was instant. I'd made the transition from athletics to field events, shot put to javelin. And I was quite an avid footballer as well. But when I got to university, I randomly stumbled across it and I took it up. Funny enough, I started in sevens and I then progressed into the 15 women game. And I think it was there where I found a sense of belonging. Really, I felt extremely empowered. I felt that I could be free, just to express myself and to be who I am, because rugby is literally for everyone. You can be tall, short, stocky, skinny. Everyone, has a place in rugby, and I found that place. I found that home, that niche, if you like, and I've embraced it ever since. The things that have happened during my career, I think that those are just secondary to me having an absolutely great time, because I love what I do and I enjoy it so much. The accolades and all of those things, they just seem to, follow me around, really. I just truly enjoy and love what I do.
That's good. And I wish more people would hear what you're saying, that you've got to love what you do. I understand you've got to make ends meet and all of that, but you've got to love what you do. It just makes the job so much more easier. It's so true. But talking about university, you studied law, if I'm not mistaken. Was that something that you sort of felt like that's probably a career you were going to follow, and then rugby sort of sidestepped all of that?
I wouldn't say it sidestepped it. It just fell right. It just fell right into that. My initial dream, or goal when I matriculated, was that I wanted to study law. It was more of I had this idea in my head that lawyers were, the champions of justice, and the voices for the voiceless and that type of a thing. And so I studied law because I felt in my heart that there are many injustices, legal injustices in our society, particularly towards African women. And I felt that by studying law, I would be able to contribute somehow. Then the rugby came along, and the goal was then redirected to sports. I would like to contribute, perhaps after my rugby career, towards the development and the growth of women's sport in general. by way of policy. I think that we need a serious policy-driven endeavor to grow and to enhance women's rugby and women's sport as a whole. And, I think if I could contribute to that effectively, then I think that my life's purpose would be fulfilled. Because I think that there is so much potential in
Yes.
women's sport. And I feel that we are only living a part of that potential. We haven't truly reached the peak. And I think we need an approach that is all inclusive. We need a hands-on, all hands on deck type of an approach where we can be able to champion, women's sport effectively with the aid of legally binding, strategies such as policy.
Absolutely.
I strongly believe that we need to drive policy for globally, actually, for the growth of women's sport.
Well, I think if you keep working hard at it, it's just a matter of time. So it looks like you're on the right track. So keep at it. Yeah, to always achieve something is never an easy step. It's always you got to take those first steps. Once you gain momentum, then it's this what you call the snowball effect, and then you go from there. So it's just taking those first steps, which I think you are doing. So it's good to see. It's really, really good to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. You've obviously gained a wealth of experience so far, and you've travelled, done a bit of travelling. Is there any tournaments you'd still like to experience, or is there sort of an area where you would really like to see women's team go further in, whether it be the upcoming World Cup or a Sevens tournament, whatever it would be?
On a personal level, I would actually like to have another World Cup, to my name or to our name. I've participated in a Sevens World Cup, and some sort of a bucket list, if you like. Just to have another World Cup. But what I'd love to see for women's rugby is I'd love to see the Sevens team, the Lady Blitzboks, or the now Imbokotos, become a core team on the international series. I'd love to see the 15s side, compete, not just participate, but compete at the World Cup successfully. Successfully can mean different things for different people, but we know what our notion of success is, so we'd like to compete there successfully. I'd also love to see the netball side, possibly winning the World Cup. I believe we'll be hosting. Is that right? I think we'll be hosting the World Cup.
Yeah, Cape Town, I think.
Yes. Now imagine winning a World Cup on home soil. So I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that for the netball. I'd love to see our communities, particularly in rural areas and in townships. I'd love to see those types of players, the places, get all the resources and support, so we can unearth the talent that lies there. And I believe there's so much talent in the youth that is just lying in wait, and I think we can do. We've done incredibly in that, but I think that we can do a lot better in raising and grooming the next Siya Kolisi.
Yeah, I believe the amount of talent in this country is actually frightening. We have hardly touched actually what's around here. It's actually, I think, scary, but in a good way. There's so much talent. It's actually in terms of the squad. Are the numbers growing, or there's more competition for places in the squad? Are the guys getting a bit more confident, I should say?
I think that particularly women's rugby is the fastest growing sport in South Africa. So there's a constant influx, if I may call it that, of young players who are eager and hungry to learn, who want to play the game and who want to see themselves in the green and gold. So there is no time to relax at all. I know for sure there's a young 19-year-old, 18-year-old in the under 20 Springbok women who wants to play senior Springbok rugby, and that helps grow the team. It helps expand the team and also creates a huge amount of competition within ourselves, which is great. Competition is always good, but the most important thing is to understand why we do what we do, and why we are in the Springbok fold, and what that means, wearing the green and gold, the significance that it carries. I think that's the most important thing. But like you said, we need, in order for us to constantly perform at our peak, at our best, we must be kept on our toes. And I think, the young girls are doing a stellar job at that.
Oh, that's excellent. That's good to hear. But how heavy has the fitness training been? I've seen you've been doing some really hard work out there, and it's good to see. I think the coaches are keeping you on your toes, I can tell you that.
Yes, I think the most important thing is to be consistent. Because I understand that there's, in sport generally, there's no such thing as a one game or one tournament success. It's a constant build-up. You're constantly working. It's progressive. So I've been doing the best that I can, where I can. And in all honesty, I truly believe I've been working extremely hard. But not only myself, the whole squad, the whole team has been working very hard, because we understand, like I said, about the responsibility of heading to a World Cup. We understand what that means and how much of a weight it carries. So we honestly cannot let ourselves down by slacking off. We cannot let our communities, our families, and our nation down by slacking off. And I think that our coaches have driven that home perfectly, and we have programs in place to facilitate the physical readiness under the circumstances as best as possible.
That's true. But as we sort of draw towards a close, often, young athletes come up and they work hard, and they got the dream, I want to represent my country, and then it doesn't always happen, or it happens maybe a bit longer than expected. How do you sort of encourage young ones to sort of deal with disappointment? They've tried to get it, and they've got their ambition, their goal, I want to represent my country, and then they didn't make the selection, or maybe they get an injury or something. How do you deal with disappointment?
My philosophy is this: I never lose. I never lose.
That's good.
If I get a rejection, that is an opportunity to learn. Everything is an opportunity. Disappointment, an opportunity. You've won because you've won an opportunity. To sort of look inward and just take it easy a bit and try to understand what it is that you're not quite getting right, and not be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's one of the downfalls, if I may put it that way, of young athletes, which is they're too afraid to ask for help and for what it is that they want, or they just feel that they shouldn't. And that's not the case. There are people around you who want to see you succeed, who want to do you well, see you do well. So ask for help. Don't be afraid to sort of ask someone what it is that you're not doing right. And I understand that when we're young, we're quite driven and we want to see things happen instantly. Also understand that it's a process that's unique to you, and not compare your progress to anyone else. And always look for opportunities. A disappointment is an opportunity. For instance, you were a school girl or school boy who would have wanted to be in the starting lineup, and you get dropped. That's an opportunity for you to perhaps maybe focus on your studies for a while, and get a solid or solid foundation educationally, and then come back again, give it another shot. That's the key thing. I spoke about consistency earlier.
Yeah.
You just have to be consistent in what you do. One door gets closed, you go to another one.
Absolutely.
Knock on another. One of the doors will get open, and you have to do that consistently. I think that's about as best as I can sum it up currently.
No, so very wise words there, and it's good that you see it as like an opportunity, because you never know what could be lying when that happens, for you. So it's great. Babalwa, it's been so good to chat to you. Some really good insight there, and it's so nice to talk about your career. And I still think there's a lot more from you to come. and to show South Africa what you're made of. So it's brilliant. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Ryan. I thoroughly enjoyed this chat.
No, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
All the best, man, and I hope they're looking after you. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see you guys up and running again, man, because I think it's frustrating for everyone. We just want to get out and play. But yeah, it's one of those things. So
yeah, it's just how we respond to it. That's what we can control. We can't control what's going on, but how we respond to it is in our hands. So, as Nelson Mandela said, it's literally in our hands.
Absolutely. Lovely.
All right, then.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you very much. Have a good day further.
All the best, eh?
Thanks.
Bye-bye.